The Apple Reality Pro headset might finally be arriving this year. In an interview, the former CEO and founder of the startup Vervana, which was actually acquired by Apple back in 2017 for $30 million, talked about their time working from 2017 to 2021 in California working on the headset. Now, of course, they weren't able to give us any details, but they said that they truly believe this is going to be a game changer. Quote, "I always say that when Apple gets into virtual reality, it will be a Macintosh moment," end quote. This, of course, referring back in 1984 when the Macintosh computer first came out, and this really helped push computers into the mainstream because even though it was an extremely expensive product, it was much more approachable than the computers of the time, and it became something that every creative wanted and even people wanted in their homes. They mentioned when they were in California, about 1,000 people were working on the headset, and even though recently we found out the headset has been delayed yet again, potentially being announced at the Worldwide Developers Conference this June, people are still confident that if it does get revealed there, it could get released by the end of the year. We've heard before that this headset's probably going to cost between $2,000 and $3,000, but as we've seen with Apple in the past, they've released some extremely expensive products, but because they make them so user-friendly and make their audience feel like they really need to have them, they've been able to be successful with products where other people haven't. So what do you think? Do you think that this new Apple headset could really hit that enterprise market, all the creatives and the things that the Quest Pro was trying to do, but really help push virtual reality, augmented reality, and of course, mixed reality into the limelight, into the mainstream finally? The creator of Bigscreen VR, the social app where you can get together with your friends and watch recent movies, 3D movies, all in your VR headsets together in virtual theaters, is now dropping their own VR headset called Beyond. This thing truly shoots for the stars when it comes to what VR enthusiasts are wanting right now. It is extremely lightweight, puts this barely beyond the weight of nicer ski goggles even. Of course, pancake lenses, which are quickly becoming the new standard in the industry, making it a very small headset, measuring less than 1 inch at its thinnest point. Dual OLED displays for those really good dark blacks, 2560 by 2560 resolution per eye, which not only is that high, but as we've seen with pancake lenses, even similar resolution to other headsets we've seen can seem a lot clearer because they're able to make the screen smaller, which means much more pixel density. The headset will cost $1,000, and that doesn't include the base stations or controllers, which it is fully compatible with. But for someone who's had an Index for several years, the controllers are still working good, you got the base stations, and you're just looking to upgrade the actual headset, this could be a really good option to finally spring into what feels like next-gen VR. One of the most interesting things about it is when you go to buy this headset, they want you to use an iPhone XR or a really recent Apple device that has a 3D scanner and scan an image of your face so that they can make a custom facial interface suited exactly to your face. That does mean passing this headset around may not be as easy as other headsets, or maybe if you have a couple family members that use it a lot, you can get a couple extra of these facial interfaces. That is a really cool idea that this will be customized per person. It comes with just a single soft strap, and with that lightweight, that should be okay, but they are offering a deluxe audio strap style strap that we don't know the price on yet, but it looks very similar to what HTC Vive did with their deluxe audio strap. Beyond that, this seems to cover all the basics as we're expecting in VR right now, with a 93-degree field of view horizontally and 90-degree vertical field of view. They're saying that gives it a PPD of 28 though, fully compatible with Steam VR tracking. It will take up quite a bit of ports on your PC with a display port and 2 USB 3.0 ports that it will be plugged into for power, data, and of course visuals. But that is pretty cool to hear about because PCVR has felt like for a while hasn't really kept up or had new and exciting things launching, and this sounds like one of the most revolutionary headsets that may launch this year. We've seen recently a lot of tech companies in the US making a lot of layoffs, even Meta laying off nearly 13% of its workforce. This seems to be a trend that may continue worldwide as TikTok's parent company ByteDance will be laying off hundreds of employees that specifically work at its VR headset manufacturing subsidiary Pico Interactive. Pico that just released the Pico 4, which is a really popular headset currently in Asia and Europe, not yet officially released in the US. Pico was actually acquired by ByteDance back in August of 2021, and they were making a lot of expansion into the VR market. We over here have been waiting in the US to see the Pico 4 finally released, and so news like this is kind of concerning because this means that they may not continue their aggressive expansion they were going for. This number can mean as much as some teams in the VR division having a 30% loss of work. With all that said, I was on track to meet with Pico potentially next month here in the US. I'm hoping that this is more of a streamlining and not necessarily them considering backing off on trying to move into the US market. But what do you think about it? Speaking of ByteDance, one of the biggest competitors against them in the Chinese space to take over mobile gaming is a company called Tencent. Tencent recently had a leak that they had been working on a VR headset, but it was now being scrapped due to a lack of profitability. This was reported on originally by Reuters. Although Tencent disputed this, they said that they are not going to be laying off hundreds of people as was initially rumored. It still looks like they are not going to be releasing a headset anytime soon. Anonymous sources at Tencent show that their internal economic forecast suggested a venture like this wouldn't be profitable until at least 2027. Tencent will still be involved in the industry as they have stakes in both Epic Games and Skydance Media. Skydance, of course, the makers of The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, but this means that we may not be seeing a VR headset from them anytime soon. This story is developing, so we'll keep you updated each week if more comes on this, or if it is found out that maybe this was completely refuted and there is still a possibility of a headset, but it doesn't seem likely. Would you go swimming with a set of AR goggles on? Well, Vuzix is hoping potentially you will. Vuzix is already known for making AR glasses that they have released, and they recently did a test with divers trying their Vuzix AR swim goggles. Now, this is only a test to see how possible this was, but they were able to maintain, with a depth of 21 feet roughly, a signal to have AR displayed inside of the goggles for people to be able to see. Whether this ends up being used in tactical dive operations, even in tele-engineering, it is a promising and interesting concept of where AR could be reapplied. I think about even for divers who have to constantly manage and monitor their air tanks, having a display up near your eyes reminding you of where that is could be much more useful than having to look at something on you. Vuzix does currently have smart swim glasses, not necessarily designed for deep diving, available for $199. They say that these can be used indoors, swimming pools, but also even in open waters to help keep swimmers and coaches connected. It's an interesting use for AR that I hadn't really thought about too much yet. We've seen some VR headsets that you can swim in, which seems really worrying to me to completely disconnect yourself from the outside world when you're underwater, but AR would be a much more practical use in my mind. With all that said, what do you think? What else is going on in the VR world this week that has you excited? Obviously, we are days away from PSVR 2 launching, and ours will be here in like 3 days, hopefully. So I'm extremely excited to share all of that with you. If you have any questions about that coming up, make sure and drop those in the comments, and I'll make sure to try and cover those in the videos about it. But also any other news you want to hear about, let me know in the comments. But thank you for coming out, and I will see you in another reality.